Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be doing a tier list for the Infant Labyrinth. I'm doing this tier list as requests of some people in the comments of my videos, and if you have any suggestions for videos that you want to see, just make sure you leave them down below and I may get to it in the future. To start off with, we have Alchemist here. Alchemist, in my opinion, is a very good cookie, especially in the stages of 1 and 2. She's good at insta killing the stages in stage 1, and she's good at like doing AoE clears in stage 2 and 3. I'd have to put her in A tier just for her versatility, especially with her like kits and stuff and being able to be boosted by someone like Blackberry. Very, very strong cookie. Angel Cookie, I think you can all know where this is going. Going in S tier. No, I'm kidding, it's going D tier. Nothing good about Angel Cookie. Pretty bad cookie. Much like Angel Cookie, Chamomile here does absolutely nothing in the Infant Labyrinth. She'd only be really used if you don't have any other wind cookie or other element to match for the element to get the extra bonus points. Other than that, you really wouldn't use Chamomile for pretty much anything, so she's going in D tier as well. Cherry, and just much like Alchemist, an amazing cookie, extremely strong. I do rank her a little bit higher than Alchemist, though she doesn't go in S tier because in my opinion, Cherry can be replaced by a few cookies in some certain situations. However, Cherry does have a strong amount of damage, so she's going in top of A tier, and maybe in the future I might change it to the bottom of S tier, but she is a very, very strong cookie and very, very easy to build too. Chili, ever since Jalapeno got introduced in the game, Chili's just kind of been overshadowed in every single situation. She's not really good in Infant Labyrinth because if you have to move around the map a lot, you just end up using Jalapeno or another cookie on the same element. There's literally no situation that I can think of where Chili's been used over Jalapeno, so she's probably going in F tier. If you don't have Jalapeno, I'd recommend using Chili, but Chili is just not very good anymore. Soda, literally used in almost every single chapter. I don't think there's been a chapter that I haven't used Soda. She's very, very strong, very, very powerful, quite easy to build since she's one of the first epic cookies to be released in the game. I do have to rank her in S tier, but it's probably going to be in the lower end of S tier. Crushed Pepper, he's not bad. He does give good shields and good buffs to fire cookie, so if it's like a fire one, you could put Crushed Pepper, Cherry, and like Jalapeno. So he's pretty decent at boosting fire damage, though there are much better options. I do think they're a bit better than Chili and Angel and Chamomile, so I'm going to put him in B tier for that. Dark Choco here, he's kind of been overshadowed in like Raid and Champions Raid from someone like Karobi and BB. However, in Laboratory, I still think he's very strong. You'd mostly use him for like a boss stage, or if you need a one-shot a large area of enemies. I reckon he's still very, very strong in Lab. He's not the best, but he's not the worst, so I'm going to put him in top of B tier, just because I reckon he's more versatile than Crushed Pepper, and he's probably a little bit less versatile than Alchemist, because Alchemist is used a little bit more in like lower stages. Maybe in stage 3 you'd see Dark Choco come out more than Alchemist, but you'd see Alchemist a little bit more in the lower stages, and she's a lot easier to build. Ginger Brave, much like Angel and Chamomile, he's pretty useless, there's no need to run him. Gumball, I reckon he's not too terrible, like he is nothing like Alchemist and Cherry. He's okay. If you do have like no one else for water, I reckon running him's not too bad of an idea with Soda. Gumball's pretty easy to build. I do have to put him in top of F tier, just because I reckon he is a little bit versatile. He's not trash, but he's not good at any means. Lemon Zest, a fantastic cookie, great all-rounder. He does very good AoE damage and very good single target damage. He doesn't excel in either of those. He's just kind of like very good at both of them in my opinion. His AoE damage is very, very strong in some stages, especially when the enemies are closer. But once the enemies all spread out like a ton, like in this week's 1-3, all the enemies are spread out like a lot, so you can't really use them in that. So I'm going to put Lemon Zest in the middle of A tier. Muscle here, atrocious, never use him. Ninja, he's not bad because he does have that wind tag and he's got a pretty good AoE, so if you have nothing else, so if you don't have like a plantain or anything, I reckon Ninja's not too bad. I'm going to put him in the top of F tier because I can see some potential using him instead of plantain. Pistachio, not a terrible cookie considering that there's not really any use for them. He does boost Lemon Zest damage quite a bit, so if you don't have any other options, running Pistachio isn't a bad idea, so I'm going to put him in the middle of F tier. Plantain, an extremely strong cookie, especially at the 4-star or 5-star promotion when he gets the extra damage from his skill. He's an extremely strong cookie, almost used in every single week. He's just very, very strong. I'm going to put him in the top of A tier. Rockstar, undeniably one of the most used cookies in the entire game. Literally, like, there's no reason to not use him. He's extremely strong, putting him at sort of S tier. He's just great buffing, great support, and he can even be used to kill like stages in like 1-1. Those are always great. Rye, very good cookie. I'm going to put him at the top of the B tier just because he's very good at AoE and has quite... He doesn't have the best single target damage. Nothing like Lemon Zest single target damage or AoE. He's just pretty much a weaker version of Lemon Zest. But if you have nothing else, running Rye isn't too terrible. Durian, extremely strong cookie, very underrated in my opinion. It's got tons of single target damage from his basic attacks and skills. However, if you need to use more than 2 skills, which is incredibly unlikely in Infinite Labyrinth, Durian's a pretty good go-to pick. So I'm going to put him at the top of A tier just for his very good at AoE damage and single target damage. Twisted Donut here, very underrated in my opinion. He's super good in the early stages of the Infinite Labyrinth, but when you get into stage 2 and 3 or 5 and 6, he's not really used that much unless you need to clear the shield from like one of those lava enemies. Other than that, he's not very good anywhere above stage 1, so I'm going to put him at the top of B tier. He's still very strong if you do need to use him though. Werewolf, he's okay. He's not really the best, not really the worst, but there's definitely much better options for Dark, like Korolby, Blackberry, Alchemist, Dark Choco. So I wouldn't recommend building him at all if you have any of those other options. So he's going to go to the top of the F tier. Wizard, a super good AoE damager. It like decreases the light resistance, much like Alchemist and Cherry. I do think he's very strong in Infinite Labyrinth. I'm going to put him below Cherry though, just because his ult doesn't do as much damage as Cherry, and you only really use his ult, you don't use his skill, unless you're using Wizard's Artifact. Cherry, on the other hand, can kill many enemies with the skill, and I do think is much better than Wizard, though Wizard is still a very strong cookie. Blackberry, I'm going to put them in the middle of B tier just because you don't really see them that much outside of stage 1. Other than that, not very bad at all. Super strong at giving buffs to Alchemists and stuff like that if you need a one shot on those specific stages. Korolby here. Extremely strong cookie, very good single target damage, not very good at AoE, so I'm going to put them at the bottom of A tier just because they have a very strong single target damage. So it's always a very good option to run Korolby if you don't have DC build, and vice versa. If you don't have a good Korolby build, you can run DC. Jalapeno, one of my favorite cookies, not as much as DC, though I do really like Jalapeno. Jalapeno has very good single target damage, probably some of the strongest in the game in my opinion, like over an expended period of time. So if you aren't like one-shotting everything immediately, Jalapeno is extremely strong, though not very good at AoE because some of the enemies may be spread out too much for Jalapeno to hit, unless her ultimate can hit all the enemies at once. So I'm going to put him in the middle of A tier. I reckon I'm going to put it above Cherry though, just because Cherry is still very strong at damaging, but she isn't very good at single target damaging. Unless you're using someone like Jalapeno, then Cherry is pretty good. Basil Pesto, the new cookie that is released, extremely fun to play in my opinion, but he's very specific in lab. There's only some specific stages that you wouldn't use him in. You don't really see him that much unless you need to insta kill with the ult. He's much like Durian, but he doesn't have that like attack or short burst damage that Durian has from his specials and skills. So I'm going to put Basil in the top of B tier, just because he's still very strong. He's just not very good at the burst damage after his ult. Lemon, a good support cookie for someone like Lemon Zest. You would use him in the same light element as Lemon Zest just to help boost his damage. So I'm going to put him below Basil just because he's used to help boost Lemon Zest, but he's not very good by himself, unless in the earlier stages you need Lemon Zest to kill some of the enemies that someone like Lemon Zest can't actually hit. We got Candy Drop Cookie here. Candy Drop Cookie is extremely strong. She's got very good ultimate and like skill boost to help increase earth damage. You would use Candy in something like the earlier stages as well as the late stages. Overall, just a very good all-rounder cookie, especially with like someone like Durian. So I'm going to put him in the middle of A tier, probably a little bit below Wizard, because I do think Wizard is just slightly better than Candy. The Candy and Wizard are pretty much the same cookie. And last but not least, we have Mala Sauce. Like Chili Pepper, Mala Sauce has kind of been overshadowed from Jalapeno. I don't really see them that much. You can use Mala Sauce instead of Cherry, so there's definitely a good replacement with Mala Sauce and Cherry. And I do think Mala Sauce has some potential for future chapters if you need to get that AoE out that Jalapeno can't do. So I'm definitely not going to ignore the fact that she has extremely good AoE damage. So I'm going to put them at the top of B tier. Maybe I could put them at the bottom of A tier. But yeah, overall, very strong cookie, and I do see lots of potential with Mala Sauce. However, looking at this tier list, I do see someone like Plantain and Durian, they probably can go to S tier, so I'm going to put them both up into S tier, just because Durian is extremely strong in his AoE damage and his burst damage. He's like very strong in that kind of sense, and Plantain is used almost in every single stage. I don't think there's ever been a win stage that I haven't used Plantain in, just because his ult can give the extra damage if you're using the Going Beyond artifact. His skill does a ton of damage with the Forgotten Heroes set. He's just a very good all-round cookie. The reason why I'm leaving Jalapeno here is just because she lacks that AoE damage that someone like Plantain and Durian have. Soda, you can argue that she doesn't have much AoE damage, though I do beg to differ with her ultimate. If she is 5-star, she can get the wave off and clear out the enemies that you can't hit with the ultimate. Just a super good cookie as well, in my opinion. Yeah, and that will be my tier list for the Infinite Labyrinth. If you have any questions, comments, or if you have any preferences that you don't agree with here, be sure to leave them down below, and I'll be sure to comment and reply, see if your opinion is better than mine. And that will be all. See you guys in the next one.